that was in many ways a parallel, what's happening now, to what was happening 26,000 years ago. And the vehicle of that reawakening, surprisingly enough, is technology. Okay? I wouldn't even be here sharing this with you if I had not been able to communicate with Joanne via the interweb, the World Wide Net, whatever you want to call it. That was mispronounced on purpose, by the way. I know it's the World Wide Web. All this stuff that's here, which you will experience in a minute, it was all printed on a computer printer. You know, I wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for that. You know? I wouldn't be able to communicate with John Major Jenkins. I wouldn't have been able to make the promotional material or the website that I would hope that you would visit, where you would see Antonio and his family on our website. That's not possible. So can technology destroy? Yes, it can. But we who are endowed with power and magic can take that technology and make it do good things. Okay, and that's what it's there for. And that's what they did way back then, 26,000 years ago. So here we start on this wonderful journey, using technology and this newfound spiritual expression, shamanism, art, to really redo our relationship with the Earth Mother. And it was wonderful. And 5,200 year cycle ends, and it's still cold outside. Okay, we'll start a new 5,200 year cycle. And that 5,200 year cycle and that affinity with Mother Earth gets stronger and stronger, and humans become more firmly attached, more firmly rooted in this wonderful relationship between themselves and the Mother. And a third 500 year cycle, 5,200 year cycle begins, a third sun. We're into the third sun now. And people just getting stronger within that. And then somewhere during that third 5,200 year cycle, something happened that changed everything. The earth started to get warm. This area where we live now, where you live here now and that I'm visiting, was under several miles of ice. The ice was so heavy that geologists say the earth is still rebounding back. Right now, at this moment, the earth here where we live is still actually coming back from having been squashed by several thousand years of glacier. I mean, that's a lot of ice. That's a lot of ice. And they're saying, yes, there is a rebound. Something like, quarter of an inch every 5 years or something like that, that the earth is still rising. It's like a big sponge that had been squashed down by all that ice. And it's still making a comeback. That's how much ice there was here. Here. This Lake Ontario of yours, it was gouged out by that ice. There was no Lake Ontario. There was a river. The ice came and scooped out this thing, and it filled up with water. And the water is meltwater from that ice. And now it's Lake Ontario. The Finger Lakes, all that. It was fingers of ice. As these glaciers moved, they would scour the earth. A place called Glacier Cane National Park. Huge mounds of soil and debris that were brought down all the way from Canada, all the way from Creeland, brought all the way down here by ice. All that stuff started melting. Melting. That was slow. The Ice Age didn't end with a bang. It's like nothing on Earth or in nature happens overnight. Very gradually. But very gradually, the fauna, the animals that depended on that climate began disappearing. The big mammoths went away. The woolly rhinoceroses went away. Very little of that time has survived. Mucks, oxen, buffalo now are smaller. Okay? It just was a big change, and human beings reacted to it, mostly for survival's sake. They had to find different ways of feeding themselves, different ways of hunting, and they reacted fine, but still within that wonderful connection with the earth. One important thing that happened during the third sun, when all these climatic changes were happening, is that people started bringing home the food while it was still alive. Okay, the men would hunt, and they would kill a cow, buffalo, and the calf was still alive. Let's bring it home. Make a pet, nice pet. And after a while, they realized they could grow these things, not buffalo, but other animals that were more domesticatable, whatever. They started taming them. Same thing with women. They would bring home these big bushels of seeds, and some of the seed would fall, and the next spring was sprout. Say, man, I've been walking 15 miles for this stuff. Grow right here. Look at that. They started planting the stuff in their backyard. This happened at the end of the third sun, when things started getting warmer. It could only happen then, because only when it got warmer, when growing seasons were easier to deal with, could they begin to develop this. We were poised at the edge of a new era. At the end of the third sun, we began a period of time that archaeologists call the Neolithic era, as opposed to the Paleolithic era. The Paleolithic era was very long, millions of years. The Neolithic era was relatively short. It lasted for approximately 5,200 years, about the same period of time as a Mayan sun, 5,200 years. And it started right there at the end of the third sun. The fourth sun, they called the New Stone Age. It was a time of domestication. People all over the world, especially in certain areas of the world, it isn't like everybody started planting. Some people continue hunting and gathering to this day. You know, the Bushmen of the Kalahari still do hunting and gathering. You have people in the Amazon rainforest that still do hunting and gathering. I'm not saying that everything changed everywhere, but there were places all over the world where this stuff was happening, where people began domesticating plants and animals. And everything was cool. The mother was helping them. Okay, I used to help you hunt and gather, now I'm going to help you grow your stuff. Wonderful. So maintain the covenant. Maintain the covenant. Respect the covenant between you and me. And that includes respect for each other and respect for the gifts that I give you. He said, gifts. I don't have to give you these things. They're given out of my generosity. And so the covenant made the leap from hunter-gatherers to farmers and herders. And it was cool. Everything was good. And then, sometime during the fourth sun, that's when things went wrong. Because some of these cultures, some of these groups, certain people began to see, I love my yard, I love the plants that are growing here, I love my animals, but the other guy's yard and the other guy's animals look better. And I'm bigger than he is. What's to stop me from just going over there and taking it? It's there, it can't run away. So, you know, I'll take my plow or my hoe. I won't use it to make things that grow. I'm going to use it to clobber somebody over the head. Take his stuff. And he did it, and he got away with it. And it worked. So now he got more stuff. Your stuff looks better than my stuff. I want your stuff because it looks better. I need your stuff. You got to give it to me. That's what began to happen. Your stuff began becoming my stuff. Stuff. And it snowballed. We had just gotten rid of an ice age, and now we got the